This level, we have equation included sine and cosine together, how to solve this equation. For example, if we have sine x, 2 sine x is equal to cosine x. You can divide it by cosine to get what? To get tan. So in case if we have equation included sine and cosine, you can divide it by cosine to get tan, like this. Divided by cosine x, divided by cosine x, then 2 tan x is equal to 1, then solve your equation. Another types of equation included sine and cosine, like sine squared x plus 3 cosine x is equal to, say, 8, for example. How to solve this equation? Remove sine squared and write 1 minus cosine squared x. So now we have equation quadratic, you can solve it. The two types of these equations included sine, but at the end, the first one shifted to be included only tan, and the second one to be only included cosine. There is another type of equations. I write expression like this: 2 sine x plus cosine x is equal to, let's say, 1. For example, how to solve this equation? If you try the first method and say, I will divide it by cosine. If you divided the first one by cosine, you will get tan. Divided cosine by cosine, you will get 1. 1 over cosine will be sec. Still, the trigonometric equation included two different trigonometric functions. You can say by squaring both sides. By squaring both sides. By squaring both sides, expand, simplify, you will get your expression included sine squared, cosine squared, 4 sine cosine, I think will be more complex. Today, inshallah, we'll learn how to write an expression included sine and cosine in terms of only sine or cosine. How to write the expression expressing a sine theta plus b cosine theta in the form of r sine theta plus alpha or r cosine theta plus alpha. Will explain what is theta and alpha represent. Now look at this equation. If we have a sine theta plus cosine theta, and he asked to write in the form of r sine theta plus alpha. The question again, write a sine theta plus b cosine theta in the form of r sine theta plus alpha. Sometimes it's written r cosine theta plus alpha. Sometimes written r sine theta minus alpha, whatever written. How to get the value of r and the value of alpha. I will write it without any values. I get the answer only in terms of a and b, then we'll explain it again in case if there is a value. How to write this expression in the form of this expression. Just write in between equal. Then leave the left hand side. A sine theta plus b cosine theta is equal to the expanded form of sine theta plus alpha is sine cosine cosine sine. Multiply by r. Expand a sine theta plus b cosine theta is equal to r sine theta cosine alpha plus r cosine theta sine alpha. We have an expression left hand side formed from two terms. And also we have another two terms right side. By comparing, the first term included sine theta. The second term, first term, right side also included sine theta. So by comparing the coefficients of sine theta left and right, so A equals what? Okay, I will write the first term, A sine theta, equal to the first term, R sine theta cosine alpha. Remove sine theta from both sides. So R cosine alpha is equal what? A. By the same way. Second term, B cosine theta equals R cosine theta sine alpha. Both included cosine. So R sine alpha is equal to B. My question is, I need to get R and alpha by using A and B. How to solve this system of equations to get the values of R and alpha? If you remember in mechanics last year, there are many equations included F sine theta and F cosine theta, and we solve this system of equation by two methods. Anyone can remember how to solve these equations? The first method, by dividing. If you name this equation 1 and this equation 2, if you divide R sine alpha over R cosine alpha, you will get B over A, right? R sine over cosine is tan minus 1, tan alpha first. Tan alpha is equal B over A. After finding tan alpha, you can find R. You can get exact value of alpha, then substitute in this equation, you can get R. By drawing a right angled triangle for angle alpha, we already have opposite over what? Adjacent. How to get the hypotenuse? Square root of A squared plus B squared. So you can substitute in the first equation or second equation. How to get R? R, remove cosine and write what? A over, if you remove cosine, adjacent, which is A, over hypotenuse square root of A squared plus B squared is equal to A. How to get R as a subject? Will be A divided, I switch it to B multiply square root of A squared B squared divided by A, remove A with A, so R is square root of A squared plus B squared. If you substitute in the second equation, by removing sine alpha and write B over square root A squared plus B squared, you will get the same answer. So now we found alpha. You can write alpha is tan minus 1 B over A. This is the value of alpha. And this is the value of R in terms of A and B. You can recognize these two equations to get the exact value of R and alpha. Give me time to explain this part again, but I will give you two values for A and B. Exactly same. I show how to write your expression in the form of R sine theta plus alpha. by looking at part A. Express, how to express 2 sine theta minus cosine theta in the form of r sine theta minus alpha, where is r positive and alpha in the first quadrant. Let's start to write equal between expanded form. First term equal first term, get the first equation. Second term, get the second equation. But I will back again to this part and explain the second method for how to get r and alpha. Find the first part A. Just equate 2 sine theta minus 3 cosine theta is equal to r sine theta minus alpha. 2 sine theta minus 3 cosine theta is equal to r, open bracket, expanded form, sine, cosine, cosine, sine. First step clear? Multiply r by first r sine theta cosine alpha minus r cosine theta sine alpha. 2 sine theta minus 3 cosine theta. Now, by equating first term with first term, you will get r sine theta cosine alpha is equal to sine theta. Remove sine theta from both. R cosine alpha is equal to 2. By the same way, the second with second, negative r cosine theta sine alpha is equal negative 3 cosine theta. Cancel cosine theta, negative, so r sine alpha is equal to 3. How to get the solution, how to get values of r and alpha. The first method, which we use it up by dividing to get tan. So r sine alpha divided by r cosine alpha is equal to 3 over 2. R sine alpha over cosine alpha is tan alpha, which is equal 3 over 2. To keep your answer exact, now you can get alpha, shift tan for 3 over 2, and write your answer in degrees, correct 1 decimal place. 56. Because here alpha between 0 and 90, just I need the principal angle. 56.3. 56.3. If we back to the first equation or the second equation, but how to get the exact value of sine and cosine alpha? Tan opposite over adjacent. So square of 3 squared is 9 and 2 is 4 will be root 13. From this right angle triangle you can get sine alpha, which is 3 over root 13, or cosine alpha is 2 over root 13. If you back to the first equation, let's say r cosine alpha. R cosine alpha, we have it exact, 2 over root 13 is equal to, divided by 2 over root 13, so r is 2 divided by 2 root 13. So the exact value of r is, if you write it like this, 2 divide will be multiply root 13 over 2, so cancel, the exact value is root 13. This is the value of alpha, and this is the value of r exact. I will repeat this part again, but will explain another method to solve the type of equations. The first step first, just write equal, expanded form, We have two terms left and two terms right by equating first with first, second with second. By removing sine theta, you will get two equations, r sine alpha and r cosine alpha. I use division, r sine alpha over cosine alpha, you will get tan. Shift tan, you will get the value corrected to 1 decimal place. You can use this angle 56.3 and substitute in the first, substitute in the second, but you will not get the exact value of r. So it's better to use the right angled triangle. Or if you use cosine, just write inside it tan minus 1 3 over 2, exact value. You will get the correct answer for r. We'll explain these two equations again. R sine alpha is equal to 3 and R sine alpha is equal to 3 and R cosine alpha is equal to 2. Second method. The first method I use what? Division. Which first I found? R or alpha? Alpha. I found alpha first, then get R. Now I will explain how to get R first, then get alpha. By squaring, then add. By squaring, then add. The first method by what? Dividing. By squaring and add. If you square first one will be r squared sine squared 3 squared. Square the second one, r squared cosine squared 2 squared. If you add r squared sine squared plus r squared cosine squared is equal 9 plus 4. By taking r squared outside common, you will get sine squared alpha plus cosine squared alpha, which is equal what? Which is equal to 1. So r squared is equal to 13. By taking square root, so r is positive or negative root 13. It's mentioned up r is more than 0. Look, r more than 0. So accept only the positive value. So the exact value of r is root 13. Now you can substitute in the first equation, which is r sine alpha is 3. R sine alpha is equal to 3. R is root 13. Sine alpha is 3 over root 13. Shift to sine. You can find the measure of angle alpha corrected to 1 decimal place. What is the answer? 56.3. After writing 2 sine theta minus 3 cosine theta, r now is root 13 sine theta minus alpha. Alpha is 56.3, right? Now, look at part B. Hence, when it's mentioned, the hence means you have to use part A to solve part B. Hence, solve the equation by comparing, is it same exactly or not? Same. So you can remove this expression and write the expression which is on the right side. I will remove it now and write root 13 sine theta minus 56.3 is equal root 2. Now we have equation included only one trigonometric function. How to get sine as a subject? Sine theta minus 56.3 is equal root 2 over root 13. Shift the sign. You will get the principal angle. 56.3 equals what? Shift the sign root 2 over root 13. Give me your answer 1 decimal place. 23? 23.1. Don't try to give theta. Look at the range of theta which is written up. Theta written between what and what? Theta between 0 and 360. Written equal? No. What is the range of theta minus 56.3? Find the new range. Yalla, 0 minus 56.3 will be negative 56.3. 360 minus 56.3. Again? 303.7. Now, sign positive or negative? Positive. Sign positive in which quadrant? First and second. If it is first, will be use the principal angle. So theta minus 56.3 is equal 23.1. Second, 180 minus theta minus 56.3 is equal 180 minus 23.1. So theta minus 56.3 equals what? Only one calculate the answer.
79.4.
156.9.
156.9. Now, the first solution, second solution. Is this value in the range? Yes. If you add 360 or subtract 360, you will get another solution? No. So this is the only one solution left side. Look at the right side. 156.9. If you add a complete rotation, if you subtract the complete rotation, there is no more angles. So please now find theta as a subject. 23.1 plus 56.3. So 79.4. The second one, 156.9 plus 56.3. 213.2. This is the final answer of this equation. I will give exactly same question, different values. Classwork. You still have 8 minutes. You can solve 2 or 3 questions like this. Express. Show the difference between the previous question and this. Exactly the first part same. Express 2 cosine theta minus sine theta in the form of. Yalla, please try to solve it with me. Yalla, step by step. Next, 2 cosine theta. 2 cosine theta minus sine theta is equal to r cosine theta plus alpha. Expanded form. 2 cosine theta minus sine theta is equal to r cosine sine theta alpha theta alpha. What about sine? Positive or negative? Negative. 2 cosine theta minus sine theta is equal to r cosine theta cosine alpha minus r sine theta sine alpha. The left hand side equal to the right side. So r cosine theta cosine alpha is equal to cosine theta and minus r sine theta sine alpha is equal to negative sine theta. Remove cosine with cosine, so r cosine alpha is equal to 2 and r sine alpha is equal to 1. Cancel negative with negative, sine with sine, so r sine theta alpha is equal to 1. Cancel negative with negative. how to solve this system of equation. The first method, by using division, you will get tan. Second method, by squaring, then add, you will get r first, then you will get alpha. The first method, use division, r sine alpha over r cosine alpha is equal 1 over 2. R will be tan alpha is 1 over 2. Tan alpha 1 over 2. Alpha exact tan minus 1, 1 over 2. Give me your answer one decimal place.
26.6.
26.6. By using exact value of tan alpha, opposite, adjacent. 1 squared, 2 squared will be square root of 5. Exact value of sine alpha is 1 over root 5. Exact value of cosine alpha is 2 over root 5. Yes. 1 squared plus 2 squared. Hypotenuse. Now, if you substitute in the first equation, r cosine alpha is equal to 2. R exact value of cosine alpha is 2 over root 5 is equal to 2 by dividing, so r equals what? Root 5. We'll repeat again by using the second method. R cosine alpha is equal to 2. R sine alpha is equal to 1. By squaring, then add. So r squared cosine squared alpha is equal to 4. R squared sine squared alpha is equal to 1. By adding r squared sine squared alpha plus r squared cosine squared alpha is equal to 4 plus 1 is 5. By taking r squared outside, you will get sine squared alpha plus cosine squared alpha, which is equal to 1. R squared is equal to 5. By taking square root positive or negative 5, I will take only the positive value, which is root 5. Back to the expression again. Now, he asked to write 2 cosine theta minus sine theta in the form of r cosine theta plus alpha. Now, the left-hand side is 2 cosine theta minus sine theta is equal root 5 cosine theta plus alpha. Alpha equals what? 26.6? 26.6. Clear? Second part, maybe ask about the range or solving equations. Or integration, inshallah. Yani this question, part 1 in the final exam. Second part, maybe equation, maybe range, maybe he asked about integration. Look at part 2. Hence, find the maximum and the minimum value for this expression. Can you tell me what is the minimum and the maximum value of sine theta? Sine theta. Sine theta between -1 and 1. This is the range of the expression sine theta. What is the range of cosine theta? -1 to +1. This point clear. Cosine any angle between -1 and 1. If I write cosine theta plus 26.6, what is the range? From -1 to 1. Cosine any angle inside whatever the value. Cosine any angle between -1 and 1. So what is the range of cosine theta plus 26.6? Still from -1 to 1. But this expression multiplied by what? I will multiply by root 5. Negative root 5 root 5 cosine theta plus 26.6 less than or equal what? Root 5. This called the range of this expression. So what is the minimum value? Minimum value is negative 5. What is the maximum value, which is root 5? Remember, part 1 expressed in the form of all the questions are same. The different in part B till now, we have two types of questions. Maybe asked to solve the equation, maybe asked to find the range, minimum or maximum. Thank you.